Hi Omar, thanks for coming on the Teacher's Point of View podcast. I mean, I'm so excited to have you on. I've been following you for quite a long time on social media, and the Forest Gate Community Trust is doing phenomenally well. I mean, you've obviously taken over a failing school, a part of the trust, and it's sort of expecting to be outstanding. I mean, like, talk me through your journey and sort of how you got to headship and where that sort of passion for teaching came from and what's helped you progress in your career.
Yeah, TJ, thanks for having me here. And yeah, so look, I mean, I left college, sorry, I left university, shall I say, back in 2003, and I didn't know what to do, so I was kind of one of those that sort of drifted into a degree and then sort of drifted out of it, not knowing what I wanted to do. And I got a job with Waltham Forest Local Authority, which was, at that time, a really well-paid job, and it was just a 9 to 5 job, very, very routine based, and I didn't really enjoy it. So at that point, I sort of said, look, I want to do something to do with education. I really love education. I miss education. So I then rang up my old school, the one that we both attended, as kids, and I spoke to Mr. Rowlands, who used to be my science teacher. So he was the head of ICT at that time,
I mean, he's head
and
of sixth form now.
oh, he's head of sixth form now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he
so
was head of sixth form when I was there.
yeah. In fact, when I visited there back in, I think, 2004, he was head of sixth form, but he was also head of and computer science, or computing it used to be called. And and then he remembered me, and I said to him, look, I think I want to become a teacher, but I don't know what teaching involves. So can I come and spend a couple of days in the school? And he said, yeah, for sure. So he took me under his wings, and I spent a couple of days, in the school, and I really, really enjoyed it. And so, and then at that point I decided I wanted to become a teacher. And so it was really exciting. It was a real fun opportunity. And then I applied for a PGCE at the IOE, and started my PGCE. Once I started my PGCE, I really, really enjoyed it. I loved it. I did my teacher training at St. Bonaventure's in Forest Gate, which was quite local to me at that time, and Forest Gate Community School. So I did my second placement at Forest Gate Community School. And once I finished my second placement at Forest Gate Community School, I really loved the school. I really enjoyed it. I wanted to stay there, but unfortunately, I couldn't, because I didn't have a vacancy at the time. So I got a job at the Cumberland School as a newly qualified teacher, and teacher of ICT, and I stayed there for a year, at Cumberland School, and really, really a fun experience. I really enjoyed it. But then a job came up at Forest Gate Community School as a teacher of ICT, and haven't had a really interesting placement at Forest Gate Community School. That was an opportunity that I had to grab with both hands. So, long story short, and I applied for the job, got the job, and went back to Forest Gate Community School as a teacher of ICT. So I've stayed there for 11 years. So at Forest Gate, I was there for 11 years, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Really, harmonious experience. Hard work. It was really hard work, but I really enjoyed it. And I progressed through the ranks. I was a head a year for 3 years, and then I was an assistant head, for another 3 years, and then I sort of rose through the ranks, and became a deputy head. So I was there at Forest Gate Community School for 2 years as a deputy head, and then the Cumberland School joined the Community Schools Trust, which Forest Gate is the founding school, and an opportunity last year came up for me to become a head teacher at the Cumberland School. It was a surreal experience, because that was a school that I was a newly qualified teacher, not long ago. So I returned there, as a head teacher, and so quite a lot of the you know my staff at the moment were my colleagues when I was an NQT, so they recognized me, they were welcoming, and that's where I am at the moment, and I'm thoroughly enjoying my time as a head teacher there at the Cumberland School.
Fantastic. So just for anybody that isn't following Forest Gate Community Trust, right? I mean, you've literally taken over a failing school, haven't you? Like the Cumberland, one of the big reasons the Forest Gate Community Trust took it over was because they wanted to implement the positive strategies that the school had at Forest Gate and implement them in these two failing schools, in Hackney New School and the Cumberland School. In the Cumberland School, you basically took over and kind of implement these strategies and that you've been doing at Forest Gate. I mean, how difficult is that to do? To walk into a brand new school, nobody knows you, to be changing up everything, right? Because people don't like change, do they? So how difficult was it to, A, to keep your staff on board and to buy into the vision that you had, and B, to keep the parents on board and in a failing school and explain to them that you're going to change the school and make it into an outstanding school? And then how hard is it to retain students, you know, like, because parents want their children to go to good schools, don't they? And that's a big part of a school, and for you to get your funding is to make sure that you have children going to the school. And how difficult is it for you to get those parents and kids on side for you to attract them to come to the school?
So, look, you know, I'm a parent myself. Yeah, as you said, you know, every parent wants their child to go to a good school, and you know, Forest Gate, the founder, that's the founding school for the Community Schools Trust, which Cumberland and Hackney is part of, and what Forest Gate is best known as is for their innovative approach. And it's a school which is very, very forward thinking, wants to kick the can along, doesn't like to stand still, wants to always got one eye on research, development, and those are the things that Forest Gate is known as implementing. So, when Cumberland joined the Community Schools Trust, it was to learn from Forest Gate and their successes. Don't forget, Forest Gate is one of the highest performing schools in the country. I think last year their progress rate was 1.8. The year before that it was 1. So it's regularly in the top 1% of schools, nationally, and the school performs so high because of the innovation when it comes to teaching and learning, when it comes to systems, when it comes to, some of the books and that the practices that Forest Gate is best known as come from the likes of Rosenshine's principles of EDI, the black box thinking, legacy. You're talking about proper real research which shows how to have impact. And so we've brought that tried and tested systems to the Cumberland School and Hackney School. And I'm not going to lie to you, as you said, people don't like change. However, and over time, when people understand your vision and your aim, and people will be on board, and people don't want to be seen. Cumberland School doesn't want to be seen as a failing school, and so generally, majority of staff will come on board, and there's the 1% that you will never convince. And generally, our parents have been really, really positive. They've been really understanding. They see the change that the school's going through, and they see the benefits that will bring. And our parents have been very supportive. The staff have been amazing. We've also had staff that have joined us from Forest Gate who are also driving this change. And we've also got existing staff who are at Cumberland, who were in the old Cumberland School, who are also at the forefront of these innovation and change that we are making. And soon we will be on par with Forest Gate. I can assure you that.
Maybe better. Just to obviously clarify, what is the general demographics of the school? Because a lot of people say, it's easy to do that. But when you are working in schools in East London, right? And because I'm from East London myself, and I know how important it is for people to get free school meals and how important it is to get free public transport. I mean, you're working with children that are from disadvantaged backgrounds, aren't you? How difficult is it to get those students that are badly behaved or from really deprived backgrounds that need that love and care, which they don't really get from home? It's almost coming to school is the safety net for these disadvantaged children. I mean, how do you get them on board and working in your way when they've been used to a certain way previously?
So look, the levels of deprivations in Newham in particular is it's out of this world. It's very, very difficult. And some of our kids come from really, really challenging backgrounds. And as I said to you in the past, some of them, the only main hot meal that they have is at school. So it's challenging. The Newham is generally one of the most deprived boroughs in the country, let alone in London. So it's really hard. But look, we are, we're a caring, community. We care a lot about, our parents, their kids. I am so grateful to our pastoral team. The amount of phenomenal work that they do in the background, for these kids is absolutely amazing. I mean, during the lockdown, I myself had to get involved. And we've spent, thousands of pounds worth of support and money, on trying to give these kids, something. I mean, it's been really hard, and I've actually myself gone out there and dropped some of these vouchers off myself. And when you look at, where some of these kids come from, they are so resilient, and you know what, you know. I myself, grew up on free school meals myself, so I know how hard and difficult it is. But some of these kids will be running the country soon, one day. I can assure you that they're so resilient and they're so hardworking, and sort of having that difficult upbringing and background. I can assure you it won't be a barrier to their success, because they will do really well, and I've seen firsthand myself. And generally, the Cumberland School, our kids are so caring. People who don't know Cumberland School, or people who might have heard of Cumberland School, or people who you know just hear about Cumberland School might think that we've got kids there who are badly behaved. Anyone that wants to come to Cumberland School and have a look around, I'm going to show them around, because I've been doing that quite regularly with prospective parents of year 5 and year 6 students who are thinking of coming to Cumberland School, but they've heard about Cumberland School. And one of the things that they regularly say to me, which I'm actually used to now, is, "Oh my God, I didn't know the school was this well ordered, well structured." So anyone that want to come and have a look and see how amazing our kids are, how amazing our staff are, and generally, what a calm learning environment the school is, I'll be more than happy to show around. So they can contact me directly, and I'll be more than happy to show them around.
Yeah. What do you think it was about the school that made it into special measures before you took over, and what are the strategies you've implemented to get it where it is today? Because you believe that it's on the verge of being outstanding, right? And you believe that it's going to be with Forest Gate because of all the things you've implemented. What has it been for you that has helped the school take these strides into moving towards outstanding?
Look, any regime that leads a school, it's all about expectations. When the community schools trust took over Forest Gate Cumberland School, the school wasn't in a really good position. I mean,
What way?
behavior was absolutely, wasn't, behavior was not good. And I mean, you can look at the outcomes yourselves online. The outcomes for the kids were, and wasn't good. So the strategy that was employed at that time was to get the behavior under control. And we put in systems that we pioneered at Forest Gate School into Cumberland School. And, that drastically changed the behavior in the school in a short period of time. And then when I came in September 2019, I sort of took that on to the next level. That's my background. My background as a deputy, I was behavior and safeguarding. So that's sort of my expertise. And look, kids are kids at the end of the day. Kids will, if you're consistent with kids, and they will fall in line. Again, it's about expectation. It's about the details, doing little things that will make a big difference. For example, if a kid in your class doesn't do his homework and you give him a detention, and that kid doesn't turn up for the detention, if you don't follow it up, you're not going to do your homework the following week. So it's about those little routines that make a difference. It's also high expectations. It's also having systems in place, systems that work, and systems that have checks and balances that are tried and tested. So look, Cumberland Schools always had the potential, but it needed that consistency. But also we imported a lot of systems from Forest Gate Community School, like our teaching and learning, our curriculum, our dynamic progress report, our DPR, which is our online learning system that we used. And it's worked, and it's worked wonders. And I'm not, I'm going to say this, it might be a bit controversial, but the Cumberland School kids are better behaved than Forest Gate kids. And I'm not saying that lightly, having spent 11 years, at Forest Gate, and obviously Forest Gate being very close to my heart because two of my children actually go there and study there. And I reckon we will overtake them pretty soon.
Fantastic. Obviously, me being in education recruitment over the last 6 years, one of the biggest obstacles that I find is when teachers said, "Look, I don't want to go to school with bad behaviour. I don't want to do crowd control." And it's one of the factors that kind of puts people off going into certain schools, right? And I mean, how do you, when a school has such a reputation of bad behaviour, because attract the right staff? Because you will need to attract certain staff to help with the teaching, right? Because I think sometimes when you go into special measures, one of the key factors of being special measures is the quality of the teaching, isn't it? And sometimes you always have to vamp up the teachers that you have in place. I mean, how difficult is it to attract the right teachers to a school that is special measures, that's on its journey? Because they associate that with a lot of hard work, don't they, teachers? It's a big ask.
So, look, the Ofsted judgment that Cumberland School got in 2016 requires improvement. But I genuinely do feel now that as I said, it's outstanding, and I'm going to be arguing for that when we get inspected. And so look, a lot of teachers, lot of teachers, wanna come to Cumberland School, and we show them around, and we talk to them. We talk to them about our behavior management systems. We talk to them about our curriculum, our teaching and learning, and they're really interested. They really want to work here. So for example, I'll give you an example. Last year we invited PGCE students from UEL, geography PGCE students, because geography being one of the sort of difficult subjects to recruit for. We invited the entire cohort, I think it was about 23, 24 teachers, to our school, and we did like an open day where they spend the whole day in the school, and we showed them around the school. Key members of my leadership team spoke to them, and the feedback that we got was absolutely phenomenal, and the feedback was that they would all want to work in the school. So and recently when we put an advert out for a teacher of geography job, actually the people that actually applied for it was those people that came to the open day because they were saying they're really interested and they really want to work it. So for recruitment hasn't been an issue. This sort of subjective Ofsted judgment, can hinder recruitment. But we're hoping that soon we will get rid of that, and hopefully we'll get we won't have any issue with our recruitment.
Fantastic. And talk to me about the last 7 months then. I mean, how difficult has it been to be a teacher, be a head teacher, and to deal with everything that's going on with COVID, the impact of it on your students? How have you dealt with the changes, and how difficult has it been for you?
I'm not going to lie. It's been very, very difficult. Last year was my first year of headship, and it was going well, getting ready for Ofsted, and then the pandemic came, and it was really, really challenging, not just for me but for all of my staff. But I've been quite lucky because we as a trust, we've got a core central team, in our trust who provide that additional support, for schools. And I've been quite lucky with our CEO, Simon Elliott, who's been absolutely amazing. Shafiq Zaman, who is our deputy CEO, and also all the other, functions within the Community Schools Trust, especially the HR department. They've been absolutely amazing. Our teachers have been absolutely amazing as well. One of the innovative things that we've done as a trust that other schools haven't done is during the lockdown period, we were providing, online lessons through Google Hangout and our DPR, to all of our kids. So all of our kids were logging on online. The attendance was absolutely amazing. If the kids weren't logging on, we had our pastoral team on the phones, getting kids out of bed and in front of the computers. We've given away something like 200 devices, thousands of pounds worth of, vouchers for our kids. So we've done that, and one of the things that we've noticed as a result of all of that hard work that we've put in during the lockdown is that because our lessons were operating normally online and our kids were logging on, we were able to deliver our curriculum. And it's been fantastic because our kids now haven't got the gaps in learning that other kids from other schools might have, for example. And so it's been really good. It's been a real challenge. It's been a real challenge, both academically and pastorally, because as I said, previously, school is a safe sanctuary for these kids, and once you take that away, they become really, really vulnerable. So we, since we came back in September, we've been doing a lot of work through our recovery curriculum, through the well-being of the students. But our kids are so resilient, that honestly they've come back, and they've after a 6-month lockdown, and they've come back and they've picked up where they left off, and they've been absolutely fantastic, and my staff also have been absolutely phenomenal, and without them I don't think I could do the job, if I'm honest. They've been really, really supportive, and they've been amazing. We've had, just like any other organizations, we've had challenges in the during that time, but it's been really good. And one of the things that so for example foresaw that there was a lockdown coming. So just before the lockdown, we managed to, for example, fill all of our key recruitment positions. So we were in a bit of a fortunate situation, but it's been challenging, but it's also been highly enjoyable. And it's, for me, in my first year of headship, it's been an amazing experience. And yeah, I've learned a lot. I'm just like anyone else. There's people. I've made mistakes, but the beauty of it is that I've learned from them, and it's putting me and the school in a much stronger position so going forward.
Absolutely. One of the points that you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier is the hard work you've been doing and how generous you have been as a trust in some ways, because you work with a lot of children from deprived areas. I mean, you sort of mentioned that the free school meals is one of the hot meals that they get in the day, you know, and it's heartbreaking living in a first world country like we do in the UK, and for some of our kids not to be receiving food, you know, and so just my question on that really is, how much of an impact does it have for the government to not provide those children over the holidays free school meals? And B, why is it so much more different this year compared to other years? Because other years they don't receive free meals over the school holidays, do they? You know, but why is it that much more important that they receive it this year? I know it's obviously it's COVID, but why is it that much? Why is it impacted that much more?
You know what? You know, I personally, I feel really, really disappointed with the government and you know, and this decision that they made. I can't see for the life of me, you know, why they've made that decision. It's a heartbreaking one. But look, free school meals is so important for the kids. You know, we've got something like this, you know, around about 55% of our kids who are, who are free school meals, and for them to turn around to say, you know, they're not giving free school meals during half term, it's you know, it's something that you can't comprehend. And some of these kids, you know, find it quite difficult, you know, because, you know, it's not their fault that they come from challenging backgrounds. You know, it's not their fault. And you know, one thing that I've done is kids who, you know, don't qualify, I've personally, you know, used my own budget to help them, because I don't want to see kids. I don't want to see kids going hungry. You know, that breaks my heart. For someone, you know, like me, who has grown up in a, in that kind of environment, and when I see kids like that, it really hurts me. And you know, that's not something that I would wish on anybody. And what I will do is I'll do all that is in my power to help these kids. And I've been doing that since the lockdown, and I'll continue to do that, because, you know, end of the day, these are kids, and you know, they don't deserve that.
Perfect. Obviously, you mentioned at the beginning that you guys at the Forest Gate Community Trust, you came up with, you were prepared for lockdown, weren't you? I mean, you had the resources set, you knew what you were doing. How were you able to do that? Because obviously you've got children that come from these deprived areas. I mean, how many of these children will have laptops or access to Wi-Fi or be able to use resources at home?
So during the lockdown, we gave about 200 devices. I think we gave about 30 dongles. We just did another ICT survey, and it looks like that we need to, you know, we've got like another 160 kids who've got, you know, no devices at home. So again, you know, I'm not sure if you saw in the media again, the government again has slashed the number of, you know, laptops that we're given. So we've actually gone and purchased, you know, some ourselves, you know, and we obviously are planning for the future. There's a possibility of a second lockdown. We don't want to wait until that lockdown happens. So, you know, we tend to sort of plan, you know, ahead, you know, and that's what we've just done. We've also bought some, for example, dongles that I'm happy to give to kids, you know. So look, you know, yes, we've been quite lucky with planning ahead and sort of predicting what's to come in the future. And just like we did with our recruitment and our distribution of laptops before the lockdown, again, that's something that we're planning, you know, to do again. And but you know, it's difficult. It's hard. However, I think, you know, I don't think nothing's impossible, and we will continue to, you know, to provide our kids with the support that they need. I will do anything in my powers to make sure these kids, A, have a good learning while they're in Cumberland School, and B, I'm happy to go out my way to give them that support that they need when they're at home to make sure that their learning is not affected and also their well-being is looked after.
And we talked about the resources then. Obviously, you provided 200 laptops, you said. I mean, a lot of the head teachers, assistant heads that I've spoken to, um, they said that the resources provided by the government haven't been nowhere near the level that they needed to be able to support the amount of kids that actually needed that support. I mean, where have you found the resources or the funding to be able to help these kids out?
Yeah. So we've been quite lucky actually because our CEO Simon Elliott uh, works with this or has a contact who's this sort of anonymous beneficiary who in the past has donated a lot of money to Forest Gate Community School, and during the lockdown he donated £50,000,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
yeah, of his own money, and for this noble cause. So in that sense we've been quite lucky. £50,000
A lot of
it's a
money.
lot of money. It's a lot of money, but we so we've used that, and at the moment, look, we are using our own resources, for example, and to purchase these laptops for the kids. The I think this is a particular area where the government could have done a lot better, if I'm honest. For whatever reasons, they haven't done that. So we've had to sort of fall back on, our resources and our reserves, to make sure our kids can at least come online. I mean, you would imagine, a first world country, the United Kingdom, one of the wealthiest countries in the world,
Absolutely.
is having it's incomprehensible. But look, it is what it is. But I think what we need to do is make sure that our kids are in the best possible place to be able to make sure they've got that continuity in terms of their learning. And myself as a head teacher and as a trust, we will do all that we can in our powers to make sure that we are there for our kids and our kids are able to access, their learning during these difficult times.
I mean, they're really lucky to have you by the sounds of it, you know. What could the government do more? You know, like, I mean, you mentioned that you've had to dig deep yourselves and go into your reserves and had to have a contribution from external party. I mean, what for those schools that haven't had the access to that, you know, or they haven't had the budget to be able to provide 200 resources. I believe London Enterprise Academy will only able to provide 11 out of 200. You know, like, I mean, that's what they were provided from the government. What could the government do more to really help these kids that need it?
So look, there's two things that the government could have done. And one, we talked about the free school meals, the food, and I think that's quite important. And they did that. Thank God to Marcus Rashford and his campaign. I don't think they would have done that without that level of pressure. So they've could have done a lot more on that, and even that system wasn't perfect. It had a lot of glitches. We had lots of issues with it ourselves. There's a lot of delays, and it took a long time to for it to be set up. The other thing is the access to devices. I think they could have reacted a lot sooner. They could have been more generous in terms of the funding with that, and also the internet usage when it comes to dongles and because I mean we did a recent survey the other day, and something like 30 of our kids haven't got internet at home.
What do you do in a
I mean,
situation like that?
yeah, you would imagine these in this day and age, every single person, would at least have access to the internet. So they've could have done. There's a lot that the government could have done, and and they could have done it a lot quicker, if I'm honest. And one thing that has really um, upset a lot of teachers and a lot of head teachers is this sort of stubbornness at the moment with not extending the free school meals during half term. You know, that's very stubborn, and it's not good, and it sends out the wrong message, if I'm honest.
Absolutely. How difficult is it to be a head teacher that is effectively, you're working for the government, aren't you? You've got the people above you who you don't necessarily believe in, and then you have the children who you feel morally obliged to help. You know, I mean, it must be so difficult to separate those emotions and wake up in the morning and remember why you're going into work. How difficult is that to do?
I think you've got to take the emotions out of it, if I'm honest. You know, it is difficult. It's hard. And you know, I myself, I'm a parent. You know, I've got kids. You know, you know, these are people's children. You know, these are people's children, and it's very difficult. So look, I think, I mean, you know, one of the pledges that I made, you know, when I joined Cumberland School was that you know, I will do everything in my powers to give these kids the best possible education. You know, and look, I think that's all I can do. But I think you've got, as I said, you've got to take the emotions out of it. You've got to try your best, and you've got to be there for the kids. You know, look, it's hard and it's difficult. But look, you know, I mean, you know, we've worked extremely hard with our kids, and you know, as a school, to be able to give these kids, you know, the best possible outcome during these difficult times. And you know, we've had, you know, bumps on the way, but you know, it's been difficult. But look, you know, I've got a clean conscience that we've tried all we can, and we will continue to do that, you know, as long as we can. But ultimately, you know, the government could have done things a lot quicker and a lot easier, if I'm honest.
Perfect. And do you feel, with everything going on and the level of hard work you've had to do, going on the front line every day, risking your life, sacrificing, seeing certain family members, which I know teachers are having to do at the moment, do you feel that the profession is undervalued at the moment?
I genuinely do think the profession is undervalued, and I do genuinely think that a lot of the hard work that teachers generally do doesn't get recognized. I mean, I've got friends and family members who think that we get 3 months off in the summer, and then we do a 9 to 3 job, and what are we complaining about? In reality, it's actually not true. I mean, look, you know, during the pandemic, I've got teachers who've been coming in every single day, who've been, you know, I've got, you know, my teachers have sort of were online every single day, delivering lessons, marking work, giving kids feedback. My pastoral team calling kids every single day, and going home, going to the houses, delivering food parcels, delivering food vouchers, knocking on the doors if you know, if they don't come online. So you know, you know, the profession is undervalued. I think we do, you know, a, you know, a phenomenal job. And look, I mean, it's, you know, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure there's other sectors that I don't know that I feel they don't work as hard as we do, but then will disagree with me. But the one thing with teaching is that it's you know, it's a highly enjoyable profession. You know, I've been teaching in Neum for a long time, and I often get stopped, you know, when I'm out and about, and it's often one of my ex-students who is now either a doctor or an accountant or a lawyer, or, you know, who's doing really well, you know, from a business point of view. And that really makes me feel, that makes me proud. That makes me feel really, really good. And, you know, that's why we're, you know, there. That's why we, you know, are in the profession. And you know, I absolutely love it, and I absolutely enjoy it. And I, you know, back in, you know, 2003, when I went to my old school to say I want to become a teacher, you know, at that time I didn't know what it entailed, but I really, really enjoy it. I've got my daughter who's trying to talk to me at the same time. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's all right. Do you want to pause it?
Yeah.
So obviously you were kind of mentioning how undervalued the teaching profession is. Like, why is it that much more important for us to attract teachers or graduates to come into the profession?
Look, it's a teaching is it's a rewarding profession. It's so rewarding. It's you know you're teaching kids. You're laying the foundation. Which is absolutely amazing. Look, I mean, I to this day, I'm very, very grateful to all of the the support and the encouragement that I got in school, and I genuinely do feel that I could have been pushed more. And but look, it's highly reward. You're shaping the future of the country. It's a highly rewardable. Sorry about that.
No stress, no stress. It's okay.
Yeah, look, it's a teaching's a rewarding profession. As I said, you're shaping the next generation. You're laying the foundation for success. And honestly, genuinely, when I see kids that I taught who are doing really, really well, I mean, I don't want to take the credit for it, but I do genuinely feel that you know you know their schooling and the way they were taught and the way they were developed in school has a massive impact on the route that they're taking later life. So school is very important, and if we can get people in the profession who will shape that, you couldn't ask for anything more, if I'm honest.
And what advice would you give them for anyone that's doing their PGC at the moment or looking to get into teaching? I mean, what advice would you give those ones that are doing their PGCE and to help them get through this year, and B, for those graduates that want to get into teaching next year and it's difficult to gain some experience in a school because of everything that's going on? What advice would you give them?
Anyone that wants to go into teaching, I would strongly urge them to go and spend a couple of days in a school that, like I did all those years ago. I think it's really good to sort of know what you're getting yourself into. I think that's very important. Secondly, teaching generally at the start with any other profession is very difficult. It's very stressful. And one thing I would say is never ever give up, persevere, and there will be challenges, in the way. And but once you do your PGCE training and you finish your NQT year, I think then you really start to enjoy it. And research shows that if you stay in teaching for the first 2 years, the likelihood of you staying in teaching will, be long. So it is quite, challenging at the start, but it's such a rewarding profession. I mean, it's so enjoyable to be shaping the next generation, and that is so rewarding. And I'm glad that I came into teaching, and I'm glad I'm still into still in teaching, and I'm glad that I'm having an impact on the next generation, and I will continue to do so.
Amazing,
Hopefully.
amazing. I mean, it's remarkable after this many years, you still got that passion to be in the classroom and work with kids, and because you like you said, I mean, a lot of teachers when they first qualify, they come into the profession, and within 2 to 4 years, they get burnt out. They work really hard, and they get burnt out, and then they don't feel like they can be teaching anymore, and they leave the industry. And it's quite disheartening when I can imagine as a leader of a school, you put so much energy and investment into these AQTs and these graduates, and then they get burnt out and they leave. I mean, retaining staff is probably one of the biggest difficulties in the teaching profession at the moment, isn't it?
Honestly, if you look after your staff, if you develop them, if you support them, and they will work for you, and they will be in the profession for a very, very long time. The beauty of teaching is that not one day is the same. That is the beauty. You get up in the morning, I mean, you plan your day, but then, not every, that's why I enjoy teaching, the most. It's not routine based. It's every day is different. The challenges, that you face are different every day, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And if those who come into teaching, if they get the right level of support in the first 2 years, honestly, they'll be there in the long. They'll be in teaching, in the long run.
Absolutely. We'll just finish up with a final question, right? If you don't mind, because I know you're a little bit of a time constraint. So, if imagine I'm an AQT and I'm just doing my PGC at the moment, and I come sit in front of you and I'm interviewing at your school, what are you looking for? Like, what would you advise these PGCE students to be saying to you, or what would they need to demonstrate to get a job at the Cumberland Forest Gates Community School?
So they've got to be prepared to work hard. Generally, teaching is a hard working profession, but you also you got to be able to be someone who reflects, you will be allowed to make mistakes, but experiment, try things out, and be prepared to reflect on yourself, and and make changes. But the one thing that I will say is, if you're a person who's organized, who wants to make a great difference, come and join the profession, and come and join the Cumberland School, and come and contact me, and I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and tell you all about what we are doing here, and what you can do to make a great difference to schools in generally, and most importantly, the Cumberland School.
Absolutely. I mean, for anybody that's watching this, could you just let them know where they can find you on social media in case they want to know a little bit more about you or the Cumberland School?
Yeah. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter. So it's Omar, OMAR _ Deria, DERIA, or you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can go on the Cumberland School, and you've got my contact details there, and you can contact me, and I'll be more than happy to take time out to talk to you, or maybe show you around the Cumberland School.
I mean, it's the Forest Gate Community Trust is one that everyone in the profession should follow, in my opinion. I mean, I've been following it for a number of years now, and obviously the remarkable journey that you've all gone through, and like where Forest Gate was, even Forest Gate, I mean, it was going through some hardship about 10 years ago, to where it's got to being one of the top performers in the country. I mean, you're in the top 1% over there, and I've got my sister who's an assistant head in Sandra School in Avery. She's following Selena Begum. I mean, the trust, they're doing some amazing things. I mean, Charlotte Whelan's gone over from Forest Gate to Hackney New School, and they're doing some phenomenal things over there with Shahid. And it's a trust that everyone needs to follow in the profession, because you'll learn some fantastic things, and they're always great I mean, they're really open to be to come in and visit the schools and see the brilliant things that they're doing. So yeah, definitely follow them and follow the Forest Gate Community Trust at Cumberland School and see what they're doing over there. But Omar, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. And I mean, you're a remarkable man, and you've gone through a fantastic journey. And it's important for, and with everything that's gone on this year, it's that much more important for, I believe, us ethnic minority individuals to kind of show that we can make it in their profession too, and I think you've done a remarkable job, and you should be so proud of yourself. I mean, you said yourself, like, you came from a family where you had free school meals, and you are that much more empathetic, and I probably feel that's what's got you as far as it has, because you can be that much more empathetic towards these students. And yeah, just keep up the good work, and then obviously thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, TJ. And look, anyone that wants to work hard, the sky's the limit. They shouldn't see their background or their upbringing as a barrier. Honestly, if you work hard, you will reap the benefits.
Fantastic. There you have it, guys. Omar said it. No, I really appreciate it, Omar. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, TJ. Thanks a lot, and thanks a lot to everybody who's watching this, and get in contact if you can, actually.
Amazing.